Well, we played the gully, leave up a lot of strange cases. A million ways to fall in love with all of the mistakes. It's a perfect place to keep up with the pace and navigate a maze, meticulously engineered to make a play.
Same three questions that I ask everybody on here, no matter who it is, no matter what your fighting style is, your what would be your as many people knows you. What would that word be? Either way, same three questions. How and why you got into martial arts? What's martial arts doing in your life right now? Like, is it a career for you? Is it, something that you're just now doing as a hobby? And what's your plans for martial arts in the future? So let's go ahead and do the first one. How, let me see here. How and why did you get into martial arts?
All right. How and why I got into martial arts. All right. So when I was a kid, right? So I was born in Jamaica, the island, Jamaica, right? St. Andrews. When I was a kid, I had a lot of energy, right? I used to run out. We had a big open yard, I remember. And I was just out there pretty much all day. So my parents, they needed some kind of way to harness that energy, right? And they also told me that I had quite a temper, right? Which I believe I got it under control now, thanks to martial arts, but I had quite a temper. So they needed to hone all that in. So they found the strictest karate school that they could find in the area.
And what age was this?
I was 7.
7? Okay.
Yeah, I was 7 years old. Right. So when I got into this place, it was an outdoor gym. I always remember Sensei Arrow Lin. He made the kids do knuckle push-ups, so push-ups on the knuckles, right? And then they had a big bamboo stick they used to walk around with, right? So it used to be like horse stance. You stay in there and you move, boom, whack, you get the stick, right? So that was my introduction into martial arts, but I loved it, right? I loved it, every minute of it. I went home, I asked my parents to get me any martial arts movie, or, movies were harder to get back then. Mm-hmm. But Bruce Lee, he was a huge inspiration for me, right? Old school, like Cynthia Rothrock, if you remember her.
Yep.
Those movies. And then we had Ninja Turtles.
Of course.
Yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Let
me go back. So after my introduction into karate, then my family moved to the States. They found me the next best martial arts they could find, which was Taekwondo. I loved it because, again, I had a lot of energy. I liked the fact that you could break the boards, which I did. I broke the boards, the blocks, learned all the forms. I learned a little bit with weapons. They taught me the kendo, stick a little bit. Yep. And then I got my second degree black belt. So that was, I believe, from age like 11 to 17, about 6 years.
So pretty much up until that time, you had almost a 10-year span of martial art training.
Yeah. But then after doing a few tournaments, there's a funny story. If we get to it, I'll tell you the story.
Go ahead. Tell the story if you want to now. That's fine.
All right. So my when I think I was 10 or 11, and I was doing these tournaments, my dad said, I don't remember this at all, but my dad said apparently I was a very aggressive fighter, which transferred into my Muay Thai fights. But he said I had a tooth loose, right, going into the fight, one of my front teeth, right? And I went in, and this kid kicked me right in the face, and then they just saw blood, right? Turned out he kicked my tooth right out of my mouth. And then they stopped it because he said I kept going. My dad said I just kept going at this kid, bloody mouth and everything. And then they stopped, and they're like, "Where's the tooth? You can't find the tooth." And then they said I swallowed it. We swallowed the tooth, right? And then I was like, "Can I keep going with the match?"
Did they let you keep going?
I think so, yeah. I think they cleaned me up. I think I kept going, right? And I keep asking them for the VHSs of my old karate tournaments. They don't have them anymore.
That stinks, right?
Yeah.
It's like now everybody has anything is on on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter,
Everything.
within 10 minutes of it happening, it's all online. So
Yeah, what I tell the some of the, like, a couple of my students, they show interest in wanting to fight, so I'm gonna get them in there. But a lot of them are like, let me put this on Instagram, let me put that on. I'm like, no, like back in the day, we do not show our techniques to the other person, right? Let them be surprised.
yeah.
But it's hard to do that nowadays because everyone puts everything all over.
No, my coach is the same way, and I had to explain to him like this. I'm like, Coach, a right hook's a right hook, a left hook's a left hook, a kick's a kick. Nobody, has the the market on these things. I said, yes, you don't want to have it on there, but somebody has a video of it of somewhere, and somebody's going to watch it, and somebody's going to see it. And he's like, I know. He goes, I have to get out of that old way of thinking of things. I'm like, that's what like progresses a lot of the the gyms and stuff, right? Is people's able to see what's going on and see if they like that. So I understand where you're coming from. Like, hey, don't put it on.
Yeah.
But it's just like this. Football teams and stuff watch games and games upon games of their opponents, so it kind of works both ways. If there's video of you out there, then his opponent can watch it, and then if there's video of him out there, then you guys can watch it. So I mean, I get it both ways.
Yeah, I mean, I do select videos of some of my students, right? But mostly the people who are like, they're like, we don't ever really want to fight. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you're fighting with me every day. Like, oh, I'm gonna get into my whole philosophy on fighting is easy, right?
No, that's fine too. That's fine. Yeah. So
the first thing people usually tell me is like, how is fighting easy? That's crazy. Fighting is the hardest thing. So my philosophy is this, right? When I was in martial arts, I felt like it was me, it was another person. I'm standing in front of them. I'm in complete control of the situation. Yeah, they're punching and kicking me, right? Trying to knee me and all that stuff. But I felt like I was in control. I was in the zone, right? And if you ever know that, being in the zone, sports or otherwise, right?
yeah,
So
any kind of thing where you're in that zone, playing
Yeah,
guitar, you can get in that zone where you're just
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, actors tell me they do the same thing. They
Yep.
have a whole routine. They get into the zone. They get into the moment.
Yep.
If you're doing a presentation at work, right, you're feeling it and everybody's vibing with you, you're in the zone. To me, that's your fight, right?
Yeah.
You're fighting for whatever it is that you're passionate about, right? And that fight, when you get into that zone, it's easy. And then time just flies by. And you're like, a lot of times my students will tell me, like, it's been an hour already. We just started. And I'm like, no, it's been an hour. You've been hitting pads, you've been doing a lot of stuff, right? So when I train people, I want them to feel like they're getting the workout, they're working hard, right? They're sweating, they're moving, they're kicking the hell out of the pads. But also I want them to feel like this is not something I have to do. Like, this is not like I have to force myself to go in and jog.
Yeah.
This is like, yo, you want to train. And that's how I felt when I was in martial arts. Right.
Okay.
So I just try to transfer that feeling into them.
Well, what you're trying to also tell them too is that, with fighting is easy. It doesn't have to be about combat.
Right.
It could be, like my wife, she says she loved doing karate with me, but she hates any kind of test. She gets test anxiety, and she could know everything that there is to know about whatever she's testing, but as soon as she sits down,
Yeah.
it just all goes out the window. And that's one of the reasons why she didn't want to continue with karate, was because she didn't like the belt testing and things.
Yeah.
So what you're teaching also is that you can get in that fighting zone, and that can become easy, but also just fighting in life, fighting for your career, fighting to be a better dad, fighting for whatever, fighting to lose weight. So that's why you're trying to install into those into your students. or even with your videos on Instagram. I don't know if you're on Twitter, but
Yeah, I'm on both. And fighting is easy is both Instagram,
yeah,
Twitter. I stay
and
off of Twitter a little bit more because it gets
yeah,
it's politicalness of it.
yeah, or and you're also on TikTok, right?
Yeah, I just got on. If you guys are on TikTok, please follow Fighting is Easy, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, it's
notice
always good. It's always a good thing to see you on there with your, your tips and things like that.
because at the time where I was training. By the way, after I did Taekwondo, I wanted something more brutal. I wanted something more realistic. So in college, I went to college for engineering. I did engineering, but in college, I found Muay Thai, right? Once I found Muay Thai, I was like, I'm not going to forget my old martial arts, but this, I felt like punches, kicks, elbows, and knees, right? We got 8 limbs to use.
8 limbs.
This
Art of 8 limbs, everybody.
Yeah, the clinch. We got the clinch, which I feel like is way underrated and should be used more in high-level fighting in the UFC. Of course, it's used in high-level pro Muay Thai fights, but I think they should utilize it more, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Episode.10 was the name of the camp. That's where I learned like 90% of my Muay Thai, right? I've trained in other places as well, but Episode.10, my crew was Mark Delagrati, right? If you look him up, Mark Delagrati, he was like, Muay Thai was the peak. It was at its peak when I was fighting. And
okay.
I was
matter of fact, send me so I won't forget, send me the name or a link afterwards on Instagram, and I'd like to look it up.
Yeah, we'll do. But when I came up, like the fighters I was around, like all of them I think could have been pro, but we all, not all of them, I'd say there were a good 50-60% of us that just were kind of crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then enjoyed the moments. But there's other things that happen to you before a fight too, right? If anyone tells you, so I kind of agree to that. Most people don't want to get into fights. Most people are like, we'll do anything we can to avoid a fight, right? There's this crazy guy on the street, we'll just go on the other side of the street. Let's just leave them alone.
Yeah.
Right? But I was the kind of person that's like, and my wife had, reined me back a couple of times. I see some action going on and be like, hey, what's going on over there? Let's go check it out. All right.
Yep.
And then she'd be like, no, let's not go check it out. We got other stuff to do. Let's go that way. Away from the
we got to get milk and eggs.
Yeah.
John, we got to get milk and eggs. What are you talking about?
We got the kids. Like, we got to, anyway. But I felt like I was around, like the atmosphere that I was in was a fighting atmosphere. Like we were a bunch of crazy guys that loved to go in the ring, whether it was amateur or pro, right? We didn't care that much. We just wanted to go in there. We wanted to fight. We also, Episode.10, we wanted to represent our school. And that was what I was saying. If somebody ever tells you they're not scared to get into a fight, then they're a psycho, right? Then they have there's no, what do you call it? When you kind of think about the future.
Yeah, they have no outlook on life.
Yeah. They're just like, we're going to do whatever we want to do and not care about the consequences, right?
Yeah.
The Joker comes to my mind. Like, he's just like, I just do whatever.
Or what's the one guy in the UFC now, Strickland? What's his name? Like that dude. Yeah, he doesn't care about going in there. He doesn't care about I forget what his name is. His last name's Strickland, but he's the one that sat there and said that if he killed somebody in the ring, it wouldn't bother him because that's what their job is.
Oh yeah. Here's for someone like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so there's very few of those, by the way. It's a very it's a thing that has been a misconception with martial arts, I think, over centuries, is that because of where it came from combat, it came from war, samurais and all that, so people still think we're all crazy. But really, like 99% of fighters, will do it in the ring. It's a sport, boxing, martial arts, whatever, whichever one you do. Like, it's a sport. We go in there
Yeah.
like other sports, and
Yeah.
the referees, and then we have coaches there to protect us, so that yeah, we're gonna get hurt, we're gonna get knocked around, but we're gonna walk away, and I like to see both fighters congratulate each other and
Yeah.
smiling at the end and be like, "Yo,
Well,
man, that was a great fight."
Well, there's no difference between, football or, hockey and things like that. I mean, you can get hurt just as bad, or even your career wise over a period of time with concussions and things like that, is totally different. That's just like, I just seen a thing with Mike Tyson. He sat there and said, I was afraid before every fight.
Yeah.
And he sat there and said, he goes, well, what if somebody's not afraid? He goes, well, then they're not going to be a good fighter.
Yeah.
And it makes kind of sense if you sit there and think about it. And like the thing that I was watching didn't break it down afterwards, but let's just take a look at it. I mean, if you're not afraid, then you're not worried about anything. So you're not going to be, maybe you're going to take too many punches to the head or something like that. Or, maybe you're not going to be as cautious on certain things, or maybe you're not going to try to sit there and make sure that you're doing your best in that fight.
No, absolutely. I mean, if somebody is sitting there telling you like, I got no fear, I'm not scared to go in there, like, they're probably lying. Because I remember in my first MMA fight, right? My first MMA fight was only 23 seconds. There's a really crappy video up there on YouTube, and you can barely see it because like, my wife was holding the camera and she was like shaking it and screaming. But it was on, and that was the most nervous because it was out of my Muay Thai striking element into mixed martial arts with the ground game. And I didn't know all that much jiu-jitsu at the time. Right. And I went out there and I was just nervous about this guy taking me to the ground, and like, what am I going to do when I don't know how to do arm bars and chokes and all that stuff. So I went in there with the most fear, but the most like brutality. And my crew, he came up to me and he was like, they call me Ludo by the way. Ludo is my fight name because I had a big afro, like Ludacris the rapper.
Yeah. Right? That's what I was wondering. It's like Ludacris,
yeah,
okay.
Ludacris, yeah. So he came out and he's like, Ludo, what's going on? You scared? You nervous? And I was like, yeah, shit, I'm nervous. And he's like, good. If you weren't nervous, I'd be worried. He's like, that means you're ready. That means you're gonna be sharp in there. And it's exactly what happened. Like, I was probably the sharpest I've ever been, right? Every punch that I hit seemed just to land, to connect, right? And then it felt like a long time, but they were like, it was only 23 seconds and it was a TKO, and the guy just like, I remember he ended up walking like zombie style to me, trying to get at me, right? And I found out later, like, he was a kid, like, from the streets. He'd been in a lot of street fights, but not in a lot of real fights. Yeah. It was both of our first MMA fights. And then he was just like, dude, I don't know what happened. And when they stopped it, and I was like, I'm pretty sure, in my head, I didn't tell him this, but I was like, I'm pretty sure I hit you like 30 times.
Oh, wow.
And like, they were not soft. They were hard.
You was going for the fences on it. So, I mean, really, that brought you into your Muay Thai when you was in college and stuff. What made you, I mean, we understand when you went from Jamaica and you came over to the States to New York, you went into Taekwondo. You went into Muay Thai because you wanted more of a challenge, or you wanted more of a, I don't know, more of a, can't say a practical use, but
that's part of it, right? Because we moved from Jamaica to Florida.
Okay.
And then
that's right, Florida.
Taekwondo. Yeah.
Yes.
And then Florida. From Florida, I made my way to Massachusetts, Boston, Massachusetts. That's where I went to engineering school at Northeastern. But that's where I found Episode.10, right? And sorry, what was your question again?
No, I was wondering, why did you move into the more of the Muay Thai? Why did you move into that? You know.
Yeah. Because I wanted more realistic um way to defend myself. And
Okay.
I think this came because I got into a little scuffle. It wasn't even really a fight, I would say, in maybe middle school or ninth grade when I was very young. And the kid, we pushed each other back and forth like those fights usually go. And then I remember he put me into a headlock, right? And then I was just thinking in my head, like all these techniques they taught me, they didn't teach me how to get out of a headlock, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking to myself, like, I can't punch my way out of this. I can't kick my way out of this. Like, and then they broke up the fight, and there was no real damage that happened except to my ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at that point, I was like, okay, I need to learn something that can handle like close quarters grappling situations, right? And the clinch is just like kind of standing grappling.
Yeah.
But I also need something where it's not just points kicking and punching, right? It's and then when I found Muay Thai, it was Tiji Tong. When it started, it was a little basement. And then all I heard when I went in, it was crack, like the sound of someone hitting the
Yep.
bags.
Yep.
I heard that sound echoing through the basement. And I was like, I saw them training and I was like, this is where I need to be. Right. So that's where I was, like four to five times on the weeknights. When I started dating my wife, when she was my girlfriend, she was like, where do you go? Where do you go for 3 hours at a time? I'm like, I go to the gym. She's like, what gym takes 3 hours? So
Yeah. You're not just sitting there,
yeah,
benching and things.
yeah. I mean, before I would spend an hour at the gym, like lifting weights, which I just found to be like I got, bigger. But I'm like, I don't really see the point to this. Like,
Yeah.
and then like Muay Thai, right? I remember one time I brought my gym bag over to her apartment because she was like calling me and she's like, "Where are you? Where are you?" I'm like, it brought it over, and she was like, get that out of my room right now. Like, never bring that here again. It stinks. Like, it
Yep.
smells like the gym. Like, I believe you.
Yeah. I can see where these bruises and scratches are coming from.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. Like the black eyes, the scratches on the MMA.
Yeah.
MMA was probably the most brutal sport besides grappling jiu-jitsu. MMA was just little gloves, like you get eye pokes all the
Yeah.
time, like on the ground, like leg blocks and knee bars and all that stuff. And after like 2 or 3 years doing MMA and wrestling and grappling, I was like, I'm going back to Muay Thai. Like,
Yeah, that's more gentle.
I never got this beat up in Muay Thai than I did in MMA. Plus
Now,
yeah.
go ahead, John. Go ahead, John. What was you gonna say?
The little gloves. You get hit with them little gloves, it hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you a question, John. We've talked about this before. Now, you ended up having to stop competitive fighting, and what was the reason for that?
Yeah. So I remember this. This was it was going to be my third MMA fight, right? And then after that, they were like, "This kid is really good, but you beat him, and you can go to a championship." And I was like, "Great!" I was super excited, training right, the hardest I ever trained. That was also when I came up with the term "Life is hard, fighting is easy." Right? I put it on my walkout shirt. I was going to walk out with that shirt, and then I was like, "We're going to sell so many shirts because of this."
Yeah.
And then a week before that, right, I was training. I remember I was like more tired than usual. Normally, like we were just doing a drill. We weren't even practicing that hard. We're doing a drill where I had to sit on the wall and get up without getting choked out. We'd start in the guillotine position. Right. By the way, that's like somebody wrapping their arms around your neck. And This kid, he was a wrestler. Like I have no like ill will towards him for this, but he held the guillotine and I didn't tap and I just went out. I just passed out. And they were like, oh, that normally happens, right? You pass out, you wake up, and I was looking up and everyone's like, are you okay? I felt fine the rest of the night. The morning, I got up, I had spins, like I had vertigo. And I was like, what's going on? Like I never felt like this before. I couldn't walk straight. Then I started having migraines, like light was bothering me, noise was bothering me. And then I was like, what is going on? So I had to stop training. I went to the doctors. I was like, I didn't get hit that hard in the head. I got choked unconscious. They're like, that's not how a concussion happens. I'm like, I know, right? I'm not a doctor, but I know that much.
Yeah.
So,
didn't need 8 years for that, huh?
yeah. So I'm like doctor after doctor, and then finally, like one doctor was like, okay, your crystals in your ear got knocked out of whack. Right. So there's like this procedure that we can do. I forget what it's called, but they like shake your head around, put the crystals back into place. And I had to do that for like a month. So I did it, and then at least the vertigo stopped, right? It was not a pleasant time in my life. It was really rough. Like I was really depressed.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do what I wanted to do. And I felt like I had to give back all the tickets and all the stuff from my fight. It was going to be a huge fight. But the t-shirts, right? People were like, no, we don't want the refund of the t-shirts. We love this thing. Fighting is easy. What are you talking about? Like, we just, we would have came out. They didn't even want to refund the tickets, but I'm like, guys, I'm not going to fight. Like,
Yeah.
But they're like, some of them were like, we still want to go see the other people fight. So I was like, all right, cool. But after they got out, my other symptoms didn't go away. The sensitivity to light, the hardcore migraines, like lots of noise was bothering me. I couldn't walk into a supermarket, right, without like kind of. I remember this was like tunnel vision. It would like be like I could only see straight forward, and then it would go back to that. I kind of had PTSD too. Now that I remember it, it was PTSD from like being in an enclosed space. And then after all that, they realized that it was just multiple concussions. It was like a lot of little concussions. They did a bunch of MRIs and stuff. And there was just like, my coaches were like, no, you can't really go back. Like you can't fight anymore. And that was tough, right?
Yeah, that had to be devastating. I mean, here's something that you've done, since the age of 7, and how old were you when this happened? You was what, like 25?
Yeah, I was about that age.
About 25,
Yeah.
so you got to sit there and think, here's something, for a little over a decade, you've been doing this almost 2 decades, close to 2 decades, and now you can't do something that you liked, it sounded like your coaches were probably more behind you than what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I was happy, and I was very stubborn because I would try to sneak sparring in here and there, right? And then they would have their eyes on me, and then they would be like, you normally see those punches coming, you know. Eventually they were just like, no, you go downstairs, you can hit the bag, like you can go lift weights, you can do anything else, but you can't spar.
Yeah.
And that was
or
like,
do the Muay Thai pads or something like that, but when it came to sparring, it sounds like they 100% were looking out for your best interest. At that point in time, did you sit there and think, well, maybe I should switch over to jiu-jitsu or something like that?
That's actually kind of what happened, right? After it was like close to a year when the symptoms died down, I was like, I can't punch anyone anyway. I'm tired of sitting here looking at people spar. I did jiu-jitsu, but even like the going down and going up, like the dizziness would come back. And sometimes if I get into side control. And I didn't realize this at the time. Now I'm in perspective. I
Mm-hmm.
realized that like it wasn't me. Like there was a big thing about not giving up. You never give up. We're tough here. But it wasn't that at all. It was the fact that I had the PTSD of being in an enclosed space. So
Yep.
sometimes I had to take a break. And I realized like, man, I can't even like really roll in jujitsu. So, after like looking back and talk to my coaches and being like, all right, well, what can I do? I decided like I'm gonna be a coach, right? If I can't do this, I might as well learn how to teach, others how to do this.
And by this time, you was already married and things. Was you married at that time, or
I was either engaged or married.
engaged
Right.
or married?
Yeah.
Hey,
No.
and
I
you
was 2010. I was married.
married. Okay.
Yeah,
So you went to college to be a architect engineer or in engineering,
yeah, mechanical engineering.
mechanical engineering, excuse me.
Yeah,
And your dad was a mechanical engineer too, right?
he was. Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, these are some of the things that I remember from our last thing. So that's why I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, I'm going to make sure that we talk about this. Um, so you can't spar anymore, even if you can't fight like me. I'm never going to step into a cage. I'm never going to have any kind of, full contact, actual, fighting, but I can't spar at least, and I'm still I have PTSD from that. Cause you got to remember when I broke my neck, I went paralyzed from the neck down. I've got 4 cadaver bones in my neck that they fused together. That gave me, bad circulation in my legs. That gave me, because for 7 years I didn't know about it, and my spinal cord and my nervous system was being crushed by these 4 vertebrae. All right. That gave me sleep apnea. All right, because like right now, even if we're rolling around in the gym and I have to turn my head towards the right, man, let me tell you what, my anxiety kicks in. For some reason, it's like I don't know what's going on. Even if I'm sleeping, like I'm sitting there watching TV or something, you just fall off taking a nap. If I fall this way, I'll wake up not too bad. But if I fall asleep with my head on my right, all my sinuses are all clogged up. I can barely breathe. So like whatever happened to that part of the brain, and stuff like that, really hurt the rest of a lot of part of my body. So now you can't even really do too much. You're not able to spar. What's that? Go ahead.
How long were you out of commission from that?
Well, when I broke my neck and I didn't know about it, I went 7 years. I had 2 cage fights and everything in between, training and all this stuff. And then I went paralyzed December the 24th, 2012. They done the emergency surgery on me. I didn't get out of like the physical rehab. I was in a inpatient physical rehab until March. Like I had to learn how to rewalk and all that stuff. And it's weird. I'm just now kind of feeling a lot better than I have. Like we're just talking like in the last year. They said, because they sit there and said like every bit of nerve damage or every bit of spinal damage like this much takes like, I don't know, almost 4 or 5 months, 6 months just to even start to recover. So you're sitting there talking about an area like this.
Yeah.
And that's not including the nerve damage. Like it was so weird. My wife was cutting my hair Sunday, and for years, just the buzz, the clippers, I would just start, it would make me laugh so hard and it was just a weird feeling with them buzzing against my neck just because of the nerve damage that I said, listen, I'd rather have you use a straight razor, to sit there and just get the little hairs off. Didn't have any problem whatsoever. She was able to just clip the whole thing, and it was just like weird. So really what are you talking about? Almost 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I still have problems like there for a long period of time. I couldn't stand up longer than, say 20 minutes, and I couldn't walk for a long period of time. Like, just last week, me and my daughter went to the grocery store, and I usually use the electric cart because I try to save my energy. I don't want to waste my energy on something I don't have to, and I do all the grocery shopping. And I said, you know what? I looked at Joe. I said, hey, how about I actually get a cart? And I said, I push around. Usually I've tried it before and I don't even get 20 minutes in and I'm pouring sweat. I can't feel my legs.
Oh, wow.
From my hips down go numb. And me and her was in there for almost an hour. I mean, yeah, I had a little sweat on, but nothing like it was before. So yeah, it's really taken about 9 years for me now. Over the last 6 months or so, I've noticed different things. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh wow, I can stand longer. When I cooked dinner before, I used to have a stool in there, and I would just sit there and cook, and chop up. I haven't been using that.
Oh, that's good.
Matter of fact, I think it's probably been like 6 or 7 months. And these are things that I haven't noticed.
Right.
And then you start looking back like, oh, you mean you could use the buzzers on the back of my neck and I'm not like, stop, I'm like, stop, you need to stop. It's like somebody just tickling you, to where you're like, oh, stop, I can't take it anymore. So yeah, it really took about that long of a time. Now, I've even told my coaches when it comes to, any kind of jiu-jitsu, one, I don't do any wrestling. No, I will not do, I won't do any wrestling. There's just too much neck jerking and things like that. Even when it comes to warm-ups in jiu-jitsu, I won't do any break falls or anything like that. I'm like, listen, I can warm up on my own and be ready, or I can do a break fall and then I'm done. My God, I can't take it.
I have the same kind of similar experiences. So when I would have migraines, I would have that tunnel vision, but I would also have these, blurry lines that I would see all over the place.
Yep.
And sometimes when if somebody, I go into sparring, somebody actually catches me pretty good, those come back.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, like, so many years, my hips have taken a toll. Like, so I have arthritis in my hips.
Yeah.
And for a Muay Thai person, kicks and knees, everything, right? That was a tough thing for me to kind of accept that, I've been going to doctors and physical therapists for years.
Yeah.
And like, none of them have been able to fix me. And I found out a couple of years ago, because I listened to my wife, I got the MRI and x-rays and stuff. And they were like, there's massive osteoarthritis in your hips.
Yeah. Yeah. Matter of fact, I got a bunch. I just had an MRI done a couple of weeks ago because I was having a lot of still problems at the bottom of my back, like right above the butt cracker and stuff. And that's what they found out, that I have a lot of arthritis in that area.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just another, thing in life. It's not, people are like, you just did too much, because I used to run marathons. Like in my off season, when I forgot to say that, when I couldn't train that well, I would just run. Right. But funny thing, long distance running did not help me with cardio in the fight.
No, it doesn't. But I will suggest this to you. And I'm even starting to get more back into it, but this also helped me a lot to where I am now. And I don't even do it nowhere like they say you should do it, is DDP yoga.
I've heard of that. Oh, wait, maybe you told me about this the last time we were on.
It's all
Diamond Dallas Page.
Yep, Diamond Dallas Page. It's all resistant yoga. I mean, that really got me able to even just be able to, that right there, me doing it for a few months and then just doing it like, a couple times, every other week, the moves, that actually helped me more than the months that I spent in rehabilitation.
Oh, wow.
Seriously, for real.
Yeah.
So, I would try that, you can get on your phone, you can get on Roku, you can, get DVDs if you want, and just see if that does help you. You never know.
I'll try
You know.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually getting into it. Matter of fact, over the weekend I got my yoga mat back. I got me another new yoga mat. Got me a yoga block to for certain things that I can't. I mean, when I first started it, I could bend down, standing up. I can bend down and put my hands just a little bit past my hips without hurting, right? And like I said, I haven't even done it other than 10 moves when I go to the gym. I can bend over and put my hands flat on the floor.
Wow.
So it works. It does work. I can't say
Okay.
that. So let's get back into this, because John, I like talking to you, and we can,
Yeah.
we can always, we can talk for a while. So you have a degree in engineering. All right. You no longer can fight. Your coaches are sitting there saying, dude, just stop. You come to your mindset that, what, if I can't do it, then I might as well teach it.
Yep.
Now, when you wanted to start this, didn't this start happening during the time COVID was coming around, or was that before that?
No. It was way before that.
Way before, right?
So
all right, because I might have been sitting there thinking of two different. You remember, talk to martial artists all the time. And a lot of them trying to start different schools. Okay, so yeah, yours was before COVID, but you also wanted to start your own, and your parents. What'd your parents sit there and think? Because your dad was an engineer.
Yeah. So that whole transition from being so I was an engineer by day and a fighter by night.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of living a dual life kind of thing, but they knew, like my whole family knew, that martial arts, fitness, training was always my passion. Right. That was always.
It was their fault. It's their fault for putting you in it. Say, Mom and Dad, yeah, you put me in this.
They did. Yeah, you're right. I never thought about that, but yeah. But when I told them, like, listen, I'm quitting engineering, I'm quitting my full-time job. This was back in 2014, 2013, 2014.
Okay. Yep.
Right. And I had made the decision that I was going to do it. I didn't tell anybody, but I made the decision in my head. Right. Then it was August 2015, August 28th. That's when I quit my job. Right. Wait, no. 2000. I'm sorry. That was when I made the decision. I started telling people about it. Right. And then skip ahead. Right. I learned a lot about being a trainer. I got my certification in both personal training and yoga. Right. Because I was really like thinking, like, I don't just want to be a Muay Thai trainer. I want to train people on a holistic level. Right. I want to make sure nobody ever gets hurt the way I did, because there's ways that you can train safely. So I got all that. Then 2018, August 2018, that's when I made the decision. I was like, I sold it to my wife, hardest sell I've ever done. Right. And once I sold her, I was like, my family could think of, they're like, never, don't quit your job. Don't do that. You'll never make it. And, you're making $90K a year in engineering. Why would you stop that? And I was like, you know what? I'm not listening to any of you guys. I was always stubborn. I just went full steam, quit my job, didn't look back. Right. Picked up, I had a client base from Massachusetts from when I was training, but then I moved to New York. Right. So I kind of lost that client base. But oops, sorry, someone's trying to call me. But I built up a new client base in New York. Right. And then I started picking up steam and realizing that's what like really told me that I could really do this, that I could really like build something great with like life is hard, fighting is easy. and it doesn't have to be just about in the ring fighting. Because I saw a lot of the fighters, a couple of the fighters that I trained with went to the UFC. To Taiki Matsuda, I had my first Muay Thai fight with him. He did a stint in the UFC, and then he did Bellator. He did all kinds of different things. But I'm like, okay, so there was like, you can go to the UFC, you can go become a coach and then start a gym. But I'm like, I was always like, I want to be different, right? So I was on the road to like, I was going to lease a space, build a gym, 2019, 2020. I was like, let's do this. And then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then I was like, I lost like 70% of my clients because, you know, gyms shut down. New York was just a ghost town, right?
Mm-hmm.
People weren't even leaving their house. So I was like, okay, I got to switch to virtual. Because like, there's no way, like, I don't know what's going to happen with this thing, if people are going to go back to living their lives again. So I switched to virtual. I had yoga under my belt. I had meditation, which I had turned my practice into a teaching practice so I could talk people through meditation. So I started doing that from people through the pandemic to try and help them through, right? To try and get them going and trying to keep my clients somewhat focused and motivated, even though they were furloughed or they, you know, they had family members and, you know, hit me too. And it was crazy, right? As you know.
Oh yeah.
But then I was like, you know what? I'm not building a facility because I saw a ton of gyms shut down, huge gyms.
Yep.
Right. The Watt, which I trained at for a while, and Crew Phil Nurse, and then I saw that close down, and I was like, I thought they were doing crazy. I thought they were doing good. But the pandemic hit us all. Right. But from that, now I have a whole virtual training program, right? So I have an app that I created that I can take people, even though we're not face to face, you know, obviously we can't hit pads unless, you know, we figure that out in the metaverse, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, you know, a lot of people have switched their systems to everything on being online. You know, so if you really sit there and think about it, maybe the Gracies back when they started doing the online university was a little bit thinking way ahead of their turns. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, that really, you know, brought us up to, you know, with what you're doing with martial arts now. And, you know, this almost gets us ready into the third question, because I know that you got things to do. I've got to get ready to go to Joe's school and see about how to let the teachers know that they've got something ahead of them with her coming in there. So, John, what is your future of martial arts? And pretty much you can just keep going on from where you left off, because it sounds like exactly where you're going with, you know, with your online stuff and all that.
Yeah, so, you know, I could, and it's still in my mind, right? I still want to build that authentic Muay Thai, back to the roots of Muay Thai gym, right? And then, you know, I'm thinking either I'll build one gym and then I'll franchise it, right? So that's like kind of my long-term goal. But in the meantime, I want to help thousands of people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to think, I go back to when I saw Bruce Lee, like, and then they tried to stop him from teaching people in, you know, outside of China. And they were like, you cannot teach our Kung Fu outside of this. I feel the same, like Muay Thai in Thailand, they have kind of that, like, you know, outsiders, you know, shouldn't learn the secrets of Muay Thai.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no, like, for me, the body is the human body, right? And then martial arts is an expression of that.
And a kick's a kick and a punch is a punch.
Elbow's an elbow, yeah. Knee is a knee, right?
Yep.
So I want to reach as many people I can. So whether I can reach somebody in California virtually, I right now I'm building 2 new programs. I'm building a kids program, kids Muay Thai program right here in Queens, New York.
All right.
And I'm also reaching people through virtual wellness programs. So
Okay.
hopefully this is supposed to go through this week, but I'm going to get into a law firm and then not, they don't really want to learn martial arts. They want to get fit. They want to be healthy. They want to be in shape, right? But all my training has a martial arts spin to it. All right. So if you
Yeah,
tell me,
but what you're also sitting there thinking is a good way to look at that too is that's team building. My wife is 100% about team building, and things like that is actually, is something that you might even be able to advertise that as a team building seminars, team building, things like that. So
yeah, and self-defense, that's been huge in New York. Gone through the pandemic and people came out, and it's a little crazy out here, right? So I would go out to these companies and they would call me up and be like, come out and do seminars. So I would do these seminars for them. But now I'm thinking like I want to go virtual so that it's less, my body's taking a beating. Right.
yeah,
And the future, 5, 10 years from now, my son even said it the other day, right? He said, "Daddy, you work all the time. You're always working. Why do you work so much?" And I told him, I was like, I work in this hard now so I don't have to work this hard later. So by the
or that
time,
he doesn't have to work as hard later on.
exactly, right? He will know. He tells me all the time. He's like, "Daddy, I want to be a businessman like you. I want to be a trainer like you." So I tried to sit him in front of read him a business book, and he's like, he gets bored, and he's like, "I don't want to do this anymore."
Yeah, I don't want to be a businessman.
I'm like, "You still want to be a businessman?" He's like, "Yeah, but I don't want to do it right now."
Yeah, it's the same way with my daughter when it comes to like, hey, she goes to a little ninja class, and I'm like, we're getting ready to go to the park. I'm like, hey, do you want me to bring, the pads and stuff so you can kick? She goes, Dad, not right now. But she's always like, hey, is little ninjas today? And I'm like, no, you go twice a week. She goes, I'm like, but we can still go to the gym, we can still go to the park, you can hit stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So
now let me ask
spreading.
you a question with your kids program that you're doing. Are you going to be doing that online also, or?
I hadn't thought about it, right? Because it's just getting started, and I'm trying to get kids in the door,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
I know that there's a lot of competition. We got Tiger Schultman here in New York, and if outside of New York, I don't know how well they're known, but in New York, they're huge. So it's like that plus Taekwondo, right? Taekwondo's every corner. There's a Taekwondo school
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, before even like martial arts was like even big, like once the UFC came aboard, there was like martial arts schools everywhere. But there for a long time, majority of the things you always seen was Taekwondo.
Yeah.
And whoever promotion that Taekwondo thing, what is it? Taekwondo of America or something like that, or whoever, man, they put that brand out there and put that thing in every city, state, garage, everywhere. Matter of fact, I think there might even been a Taekwondo inside of a Taekwondo studio. So
yeah, but for me, I'm like, why can't it be like that with Muay Thai? Right? There's no reason Muay Thai shouldn't be as popular as Taekwondo.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I just think Taekwondo has always been marketed as an all kids can do it, right?
Yeah.
You won't get hurt. It's points, like they wear the helmets, they wear the headgear. Muay Thai, You
different.
know, if you type in Muay Thai and you know, you're gonna look at YouTube and you're gonna be like, I don't know if I want my kid to be doing this.
Well, that's what Joe
But
actually does. Yeah, yeah. Her class is called Little Ninjas, but it's all based off. It's two Muay Thai teachers that teach it.
yeah,
And that's they learn elbows and they learn the clinch and everything else. They just disguise it as something a little different.
but yeah, exactly. And it's kind of like you put your kids in football. Like I've seen these little pee-wee football leagues, and
Hockey,
I'm not a huge fan of it.
yeah, hockey. Getting hit with the stick, or
Yeah,
slammed down on the ground, or slammed up against the wall and stuff.
that's just why I didn't do. I mean, I'd just rather be facing one person than a whole group of people jumping on. Like,
Ready to hit you.
yeah, I'm like, yo, I'm fast. I was always fast as a kid, but I'm like, that's not for me. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Team sports were not for me in general.
Well, and that's a lot what this whole podcast about is to get to learn how martial artists got into martial arts or why they got into it, and like what is it doing for their lives, and everybody's is totally different. That's why it's the same three questions, but it's always going to be three different answers.
Yeah.
Doesn't you got into it because you had too much energy, and maybe he was a little bit on the feisty side, and your parents are like, what, let's get him over here. Somebody else was, their parents was into it, and that's the reason why they got into it. Or there's all kinds of different reasons why people. That's why I wanted to do a podcast like this.
Right.
Is so
great. I appreciate it being on here.
Oh no, man! I love having you on here because, like I said, this has been your second time, and I know that we've had a couple, mishaps in between of trying to get it redone and things, and you've got a great story, and it's always fun to talk to you too. So,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, but before I let you go, because it is, look at us getting almost an hour and a half. Pretty soon my cats will be coming after me, my kid will be coming after me. So Coach John, life is hard, fighting is easy. What is your plans down the road in a nice little box with a bow on it? What is the plan?
So like long-term plans?
Yep.
Yeah. So opening up a gym, definitely want to do that.
We'll check that one off.
Yeah. I'm pretty much wrapped up in a nutshell. I want to build an empire.
You want to build a brand.
Yeah. Yeah. I want fighting is easy. I want people to be just like, you know how you say Google.
Yeah.
Right? So people be like, it's fighting is easy. Right.
Yep.
I fight you for, like, we all fight for something. Fighting is easy. Right.
So you want to be the next United States Worldwide Taekwondo Association.
I mean, yeah, but less. It's my thing is I don't like it to be watered down so much. Like you can only water down things so much, and I feel like some martial arts has gotten watered down over the years, right? Just, but some people would say it's not watered down; it's evolved. And either way you look at it. So, for example, the Gracies, when they got into UFC, right? And you think about UFC 1 through 100 and how brutal it was, but it was meant to define what's the best martial arts. Who is the best striker versus the best grappler?
Well, you did hear about how the reason why the Gracies started the UFC, right? They wanted an info commercial, but they wanted an effective info commercial for Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. So they got they put it together, the UFC. They've got the smallest brother to go in there and show what the Gracies was all about, and put them up against all these styles that, were supposed to be, the top of the, karate or ninjutsu and all that stuff. And that's the reason why they done that, was because it was just a big info commercial
Yeah.
that people paid to watch.
And yeah, they wanted to prove their art to the world.
Yeah.
And they effectively did that, right?
100%. Yep.
Now we all know, even people who have no idea what martial arts is, they'll know who the Gracies are.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Just
That's
because the partly, I think that was which one of the Gracies was it? They put
Royce. Royce
yeah,
Gracie.
Royce
Yeah,
Gracie.
Royce. I always use the R, but yeah, Royce Gracie.
It's
All of
great.
their names start with an R, but it doesn't sound. It's all with a H. Royce or Halo or Henlo and Henzo and all the H's.
I came up under Daniel Gracie, who was not really a Gracie by family, but I think he married into the Gracie.
Married into
Anyway,
the family.
Just as good as top level black belt as all the Gracies. But in a nutshell, like, to answer your question, that's what I want to be. I want to build an empire. I want Fighting Is Easy to be everywhere, right? Virtually, me training people. And I know that I'm going to need a team. So I'm going to be building a team of, like, kind of replicating me and my system and my style.
In other places.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously you have a game plan for all that.
Yep.
You're just not going to share because somebody else will take it and run with it.
I mean, like I just don't want to take up so much time, because I do have to get to a client at 4 o'clock.
No,
so
100%. So John, before I let you go, just give a breakdown of where everybody can find you and, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, awesome. So if you go to Fighting Is Easy, all one word, fightingiseasy.com, right? That's my main site. That's got everything. That's got all my programs, my new app, my new kids program, all that stuff. But I'm also on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on TikTok as @FightingIsEasy, right? And then YouTube, my YouTube channel. If you just go in, type Fighting Is Easy, you'll find my YouTube page, right?
You'll see the man back here with the fro.
Yeah.
Your logo. That's what should be your the fro with the logo with the fro. That should be.
Yeah.
I love that little guy with his little eyebrows all looking intense.
So my wife designed that thing based on my afro, and then she was like, we're both big fans of anime, so she's like, I'm gonna do this anime style, and I'm gonna nickname Little Luda. Right?
Little Luda.
after your fight name, right?
There you go.
So the kids, they love this little guy, right? So every kid that comes into my program gets a glove with this little boy on there.
There you go. That's the way to do it. All right, my man. I 100% appreciate you stopping in, and we're going to have to do this again. At some point in time, I'm going to go back through and not even ask the same 3 questions of the people that's been on here, but, just have a nice little chit chat of what they think about different things of martial arts and all that, and just do a little reunion thing. All right.
Awesome, Brock. Thank you so much.
John, you have a great